Hi, this is Shadi. There are many techniques that are dangerous in judo that can absolutely destroy your joints and maybe end your athletic career. One of them, the one you see here in front of you, which is the scissor takedown or kani basami, and it's for a very good reason. It is banned. There's very little control. Injuries till this day still happen, and oftentimes it is unintentional, but yet it still happens. Other forms are, of course, the leg entanglements and leg locks that target the knee. That can be very destructive, but can you recover from them? Absolutely. And these are always talked about. The knee seems to be the big issue. However, there is this one technique that just does here by Arima. I believe it was around 1905. If you look at the right hand side, you can see it. So on the third row, it says that to do it, you actually use the inside of your knee joint, and as you scissor your legs and stretch them out, the inner part of the knee joint, where the bony part on the waist really puts a lot of pressure. It's not your thighs, it's not your calf muscles, it's the inner part of your knees where there's a lot of bone and you can feel the joint. So it's very much like putting your knuckles on someone to apply a lot of pressure, maybe on their solar plexus, their neck, to get to rear naked choke. Very much like this, and you scissor and you restrict the space, and what you do is you pull them above you and you thin them out and stretch them out, torso wise, much like you see here, to really make the restriction of the waist and the kidneys, the pressure on the kidneys and the internal organs, very tight, because if they are upright and a bit curled up into themselves, the pressure won't be as strong. But if they are stretched out and their torso is elongated in a sense, putting a lot of pressure below the floating ribs is very destructive, and it needs scissors, not just your regular closed guard. Can you put some pressure from the closed guard where the knees are bent? Of course, it becomes more thighs, but here we are talking about the inner part of the knee joint, and of course the scissor, which make the space far more constricted. So let's take a look at a few variation of this technique. So we've seen this when someone is in your closed guard or do or sae, so the pinning of the torso or the control of the torso, and you can simply scissor them. But here, this one, in my opinion, is far more aggressive. I've been in this situation. Many people, especially if they're bigger, and some people are just, not fun to spar with. And I don't know if it was accidental or not, but it was really painful, and it's no joke. Now, let's take a look at a competition example, because again, there's a lot of skepticism, and here you can see where he hugs his own knees to help them constrict even more. And look, you can see he's stretching out, and his opponent, who's on top, just taps out. So you can understand the pressure is actually enormous, and the amount of internal damage that can be done is no joke. The kidneys, a lot of the intestines, many things. I'm not much a specialist in the human biology, but you see boxers with their kidney shots. You see the kicks to the side with the shins. So many things can go wrong in this particular area, and this submission is not an exception. And it has been banned, I believe, since 2016, and for a good reason. So you see here again, I spoke about this, and it was very, very painful, and I felt it the next day. I felt something was wrong and around my waist, and just the pressure. The guy was very big, very strong, and he's not the type that I'd like to spar with standing up or on the ground. And there are just these people who are very just vulgar in their way of sparring. Let's put it this way. Do they mean it? Probably not. But there's just something about them that's just very brute, and there's no technique. It's all about just pressuring someone and violent gripping, and they just put a lot of pressure. And even when they see that they hurt you, they just don't care. There's just a lot of people that are like that, unfortunately. But what I'm saying is, this submission is no joke. A lot of people can put pressure in many ways. Like I said, the knuckle thing. So just imagine the knees of someone with their legs and everything, with the adductors, which is some of the strongest muscles on your body, squeezing a very a tight waist with a lot of soft tissue in between. So you can do a lot of damage. And like I said, I understand the skepticism that goes around it, because many simply do not understand it. Much like the ashigarami, I spoke about this. A lot of people think it's just like when you reap the leg and you figure four, and they think nothing happens. But there is a whole complicated mechanism to it, where you extend your leg, putting a lot of pressure on the knee, where the inner ligament, or the MCL, I believe, it gets stretched out, it gets sprained or even snap, and you pull the upper body via the sleeve towards you, which also accentuates that stretching of the inner part of the knee. There's just a lot of things that happen with these techniques, and they've been banned for well over a century now. Before neck cranks, before spine locks, before leg locks altogether were banned. These were banned, I believe, almost a decade ago. Leg locks and spine locks were officially banned by the year 1925, but these from 1916, ashigarami and Do-jime. If you understand how you do it, much like Arima in his book explains it, you know how well it is. And I'm sure many of you have been put in it, maybe unintentionally, but you felt a lot of pressure in that midsection of yours. So if you have anything to add, let me know down below. Consider supporting me on Patreon for exclusive content. This was Shadi, and thank you for listening.